At full throttle, it tore through Can-Am like a weapon with no safety. This is the Porsche 917-30, the race car built with no rules and no equal. Its origin kind of explains the 917-30's insanity. This car shouldn't have existed. It wasn't just fast, but also excessive, almost arrogant in its defiance and engineering limits. The Porsche 917-30 wasn't built to do much more than compete. It was built to dominate, born from a brief moment in racing history where imagination outpaced regulation. It became the physical form of one question: what happens when engineers are told, do whatever you want? Porsche's answer was a monster, a 1,500 horsepower rocket on wheels that made other cars look slow motion. Even Porsche's own test drivers questioned whether it was even drivable. Too much power, too little restraint. Yet that was the point. The 917-30 was never meant to play fair. It was a statement of what happens when ambition has no limits and fear has no voice. We are talking about a car so powerful that scared even the factory test drivers. Engineers worked day and night refining cooling and stability, trying to keep the monster from tearing itself apart before it ever reached the grid. But how did Porsche even get to this wild idea? In the late 1960s, North America wanted something faster that was louder and even more dangerous than Formula One. The answer was Can-Am, a racing series with almost no rules. It required only 3 things. The car had to have 2 seats, visible bodywork, and run on gasoline. Beyond that, everything was fair game. No limits on engine size, weight, aerodynamics, or materials. Some Can-Am cars reached 250 miles per hour on straights, speeds unheard of in the early 1970s. The series quickly gained a reputation as Formula One without fear, attracting experimental concepts like fan cars and movable aero long before regulations existed to stop them.
It really is a lot of fun. It's the most fun I've ever had driving a car, and this one, really. I've had it for about 5 years.
I mean, it was a dream for engineers and an absolute nightmare for anyone trying to keep order. Manufacturers saw it as an open canvas. McLaren, Lola, and Ferrari all dove in, building wild prototypes that looked more like missiles than cars. The result was pure chaos on wheels, a showcase of what happens when creativity meets competition without restraint. But among them, one name was preparing to take that chaos and weaponize it. And Porsche was about to turn that freedom into chaos. Porsche didn't enter Can-Am blind. They came armed with proven fury. Before the 917-30, there was the 917. That's right, the car that conquered Le Mans. It was Porsche's masterpiece of endurance engineering. Lightweight, brutally powerful, and built to survive 24 hours at full speed. The heart of that success was its flat 12 engine, already an outrageous piece of machinery pushing close to 600 horsepower. When Porsche looked across the Atlantic and saw Can-Am's rulebook, or lack of one, the idea was simple. Take the 917's endurance DNA and remove every restriction. Forget reliability, forget regulations. This time they didn't need to last a full day. They only needed to annihilate the competition in minutes. What began as a finely tuned endurance racer was about to be reborn as something far more violent. This was a car designed to explore the limits of physics itself. The original Le Mans 917 reached 240 miles per hour on Lausanne Straight. But its early handling was so unstable that test drivers called it a death trap. Porsche's success in taming the beast gave them the confidence to unleash the 917-30 without hesitation. Then came the moment that changed everything: turbocharging. Turbocharging wasn't new in the era, but Porsche made it terrifyingly effective. Engineers bolted on 2 massive turbochargers to the 917's flat 12, transforming it from powerful to nearly uncontrollable. In race trim, it made around 1,100 horsepower, and that was already enough to obliterate anything that was on track. But for qualifying runs, that cranked the boost past sanity, touching nearly 1,580 horsepower. The power delivery was brutal. Nothing happened for a second and then everything hit at once. Drivers described it like being rear-ended by a freight train. The rear tires lit up even at extremely high speeds, making the car's acceleration feel endless. Mark Donohue, Porsche's lead driver, had to tame a machine that could kill you with a sneeze on the throttle. But behind the chaos was brilliance, the first real step toward mastering forced induction in motorsport. But power alone doesn't win races. Control does. On qualifying boost, the 917 30's fuel consumption dropped to 1.6 miles per gallon. Even at idle, it burned more fuel than a small car at highway speed. And once it hit the track, the world finally saw what unchecked power meant. The 1973 Can-Am season wasn't a competition. It felt more like an execution. The Porsche 917 30 destroyed everything in its path. Mark Donohue turned the series into a one-man show, winning 6 of 8 races with margins that made the rest of the grid look amateur. Rivals tried to respond with more power or better aero, but still nothing could touch the 917 30's balance of raw speed and control. At Talladega, Donohue set an average lap speed of over 220 miles per hour, which was much faster than anything anyone had ever seen. And even at that speed, he said the rear wheels were still spinning under boost. This meant that the car, apart from winning, was redefining what fast really meant in motorsport. No one could compete, no one could catch it, and that's when the sport realized it had gone too far. But such power came with a cost the sport couldn't afford.
As you approach the turn, you and your sense of the car feel that the car will not be capable of making.
Absolute dominance does look glorious, until it destroys the game itself. By mid-1973, the 917 30 had done so much more than just winning by simply killing the competition. Other teams had literally stopped showing up as fans lost interest, and organizers faced a problem. No one wanted to watch a race when everyone already knew the winner. The 917 30 speed made the rest of the field irrelevant, and Can-Am's free-for-all spirit began to collapse under its own success. To restore balance, the organizers introduced strict fuel limits, or a polite way of saying, "Porsche, you're done." The new rules crippled the 917 30's power advantage overnight. Porsche didn't protest. They quietly packed up and left, having proven their point. Without them, the Can-Am series quickly lost momentum and folded just 2 years later. The experiment in unlimited racing had burned too bright and too fast, leaving behind a legend and a warning about what happens when power goes unchecked. Yet the 917 30 story didn't end with its final race. Even after it disappeared, the 917 30's influence refused to fade away. Because it didn't just vanish into history, it kind of reshaped it. The lessons Porsche learned from its twin turbocharged monster became the foundation for future innovation. Those same turbocharging principles powered the next generation of Porsche road cars, most famously the 911 Turbo. Motorsport across the world took note from Formula One to endurance racing. Turbo engines soon became the new standard for performance. But beyond the technology, the 917 30 became a symbol, the ultimate example of what happens when engineering is given absolute freedom. No committees, no compromises, no safety net. It showed what human ingenuity could achieve when rules were erased and ambition was allowed to run wild. Yet that same brilliance carried a cost. The car was too powerful, too dominant, too far ahead of its time. It broke the system that created it, leaving behind both awe and fear. The 917 30 proved that absolute freedom destroys balance. Let us know in the comments if you agree.